that were of three-day business. Their businesses that closed.
I'll tell you, it is getting harder and harder to find an actual kosher. I mean, I know.
But that the business is, we're being pressed. On the average business of the city. How much can you charge for a sandwich?
Right.
And we're inexpensive. $18.95 for a sandwich. That's not $18.95 for the quality of it. It's not high at all when you compare it to other places of similar quality. We're making almost everything ourselves. There's a high cost there.
Know the people who own the delis in other parts of the state? Only a few though.
Well, not. My brother knows the guys at Kosher Nosh up in Bergen County. They've got 2 locations. I recommend the Deli King. I don't know them. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, as I said, I recommend that. Yeah. I recommend the Deli King. So, but I met the guy down Radins, Cherry.
That's near me. Near me.
Yeah,
Radins.
but he's not kosher. He's not kosher.
It's not kosher.
No.
Either is the Kibbutzim. They're not kosher.
Right.
I was asking him the kosher ones and this deli. Is that where you got a Deli King? He said.
I think is that where I think that's where.
Yeah, there's a sign of the
Yeah.
Deli King. Yeah.
Because that place is pretty good, actually. And then
Anything else you said? Anywhere you hear from there.
second row. It's fine. So anyway, good to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. It's good.
Just, I actually know these people.
And they made it kosher. They're making it kosher. You feel it? Senator, is the temperature back?
As long as it's, for me, I like it as cold as
As
possible.
cold as possible. I did tell them to make sure it was cooler, but if you were still hot, just let me know.
I'm not as, it's a little less hot around there.
Thank you. Shut up.
thank you.
It's totally, I guess I don't understand, completely understand stupid. Create an environment for small businesses. Hi, how are you?
Nice to
No, Senator.
Just had a soup the other day.
Are you surrounded? I did. And Clark, I did.
And you know what, I didn't check, my son's name is Evan, so I really like that name.
I met Evan when he interned with Senator Alpert.
It was about, he wasn't 20 yet, he was in his teens. I have to look, I haven't really had a chance, I've been so busy. They were
Hello. Hi, I'm Yaron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah.
Is that what that is? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, look it over.
Anything for me?
I think we're good. I don't know. I'm waiting here. Oh, we're all here. People are still. I don't think Brown Sugar's coming, is it? No, I don't think so. If he comes up, he doesn't have a thing. I think he canceled. Okay.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
I'm Mark. I'm on the panel on the other side.
Nice to meet you. Hi. How you doing?
Fascinating business.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Way to hit it.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, take some, we can look at them, yeah. Just make sure with Karen that it's okay, but I'm pretty sure. Just don't take a ton of it, just take a few. But just tell her. In green. What?
Thank you for coming. Of course. Of course. Of course.
Is it okay if she takes a few
Of course.
pictures? That's
Of course.
okay.
Linda, maybe though you don't want your bag there. You want to put
What?
it behind? You want to put your bag behind? I can put it behind. You need this right here? Put it behind?
May need something, but,
Yeah, I might block your picture.
yeah. Just get a Kleenex here, or whatever the heck is in here. So much- I don't even have a lot of junk in here, but it's hard to find things.
I'm gonna put it right here.
I just lost my glasses in my purse.
There's one more. I think we're gonna start in a minute, waiting for the last couple people to come in. Anybody in the hallway? No, we're good?
At least you could talk about your business. We have to kind of, I have to use.
Say hi, everyone. I'm Karen Elkis. Looking forward to spending 50 minutes or so with you all as we celebrate Jewish American History Month, now known as JAM, for all the contributions we have made to our country, to Israel, to our community, and what we're continuing to do. We have a very diverse panel in different areas, so let me introduce them. Oh, I also chair New Jersey's Israel Commission, state-funded, the only one of its kind in our country, where we work to bring in business for New Jersey. We work on cultural, many different aspects, and we have, who here is a member of the New Jersey Israel Commission? Raise your hand. So feel free to discuss anything with any of them. Thank you all for coming. So I'd like to introduce the panel. First, I'm going to do Senator Linda Greenstein, my friend who does serve on NJIC. She has been a state senator since 2009. She serves as an assistant majority leader. Before that, she was in the General Assembly for a while. She's also been involved on the school board. She's been an attorney with the Community Health Law Project, a deputy attorney general in New Jersey, and an assistant district attorney in Philadelphia. She chairs Law and Public Safety, very important committee, vice chair of Budget and Appropriations. I don't even know how you're here in June because we're all living that right now. And she's vice chair of the Environment and Energy Committee. So that's a lot of committees, more than most. So thank you for being with us. I probably should have started with Evan, who's hosting us, the CEO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. We're here in his building. He was appointed in January by Governor Mikey Sherrill, a real coup that he was willing to leave the Newark Alliance, where he was president and CEO of the Newark Downtown District, where he led economic, workforce, and community development. He previously worked as a senior advisor to Governor Murphy in finance and major projects, and he's on many boards and very involved. I do think his proudest thing is probably being a dad to your son, though, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll keep it all in perspective here. Mark Brummer, co-owner of Hobby's Delicatessen in Newark since 1962 by his family. I live in southern New Jersey, but when I went to work for Frank Lautenberg in 1982, remember, we were always there. He certainly made sure I knew what Hobby's was, and we never had an office meeting, an office party, anything, or meeting, if Hobby's wasn't involved. So they've been in downtown Newark for more than 100 years. It's nationally known. I know, everyone's going like, wow, and recognized. It's featured in many news stories and publications. It's one of America's finest delis. They give back a lot to the community they're in through philanthropy and community service in Newark. And at Governor Mikey's swearing in, which was in Newark, and then people had time before the event at night, people who didn't know what to do, I said from South Jersey, go to Hobby's, and they thanked me, and I'm sure they'll be back. So thanks for being with us.
You helped fill the dining room, thank you.
Okay, good, that was me. And they sent me pictures. Yaron Sagiv, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, is at UVI. I was lucky enough to see a demonstration at Princeton at Falvo, everything you do, and I've been to TNEC, and I've been to their facility in Israel. So they are a premier company that we all point to all along, always. They had a bold vision to revolutionize vehicle inspections using advanced AI and computer vision. It's really something to see. It started as security for under your cars, which, you know, we've all been through those, and They can scan a car in like a few seconds, he'll explain it better, and they can detect mechanical issues, cosmetic damage, and safety concerns. Like, it's pretty unbelievable. So they're worldwide, they're trusted by Amazon, GM, Volvo, CarMax, etc. With over 380 million raised in recognition from Fast Company and Time, UVI continues to lead in AI vehicle inspections. So thank you for joining us.
Sure, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a little questions. So, Yaron, let me start with you.
Sure.
So your company has grown from a startup, and we all hear about startups all the time,
Yeah.
into a global technology leader. Can you share your journey and discuss the factors that helped drive innovation and growth within your company, and tell us, as Chief Marketing Officer, your role?
Okay, so you kind of told the story in a shrunken way, but basically we started from a basic need, and like a lot of people in Israel that go to create startups, it's kind of a default. That's how we started, of solving a very silly problem or one-dimensional problem, which is essentially doing a much better job than a guard with a mirror that looks for bombs below your cars when you enter a sensitive facility. And as we developed it, and this was 10 years ago, literally 10 years, we're now celebrating, AI was not as trending as everybody talking about AI today, but we just found a methodology to do it much quicker, much better. Look at an undercarriage and within seconds find any kind of illicit materials there. And the journey kind of took us, because then the same technology was endorsed by car manufacturers, and they said, could you install this in our plants, mainly in Europe, in Asia? We started working with some German car manufacturers, with Skoda, with a few others. Said, could you put this in our plant? And we understood that the automotive market is much bigger. The mechanical safety world is something that we can disrupt. And we started adapting our machines, which people call us an MRI for cars, which is kind of a nice analogy. So we kind of took that. We started working around COVID with dealerships in the United States, with fleets like Amazon and others. And today you can find us in over 1,000 locations in 46 states in America. We have a bit of activity in the UK, in Canada, a few other places as well. And you mentioned some of the clients like Amazon, like General Motors, like Jaguar Land Rover, inspecting all the vehicles that are coming through the seaports into the United States. So essentially, we offer everyone the same thing. It's a drive-through machine that you drive up to 15 miles an hour. 30 seconds later, we take thousands of pictures around below tires of that vehicle, and we tell you everything that you might want to know about it, whether it's tire issues, leaks, broken parts, missing parts, wearing tread, all of those kind of things. So between kind of you as a car owner just having a much more transparent experience, or when taking or returning a car rental, understanding what the condition of that car was, working with manufacturers, there's quite a bunch of these kind of facilities that we're working with. So the innovation kind of led us or developed as the market needs kind of took us, and that's why we're installed in many types of facilities. The core one is dealerships. You can find us in New Jersey, also New York, all this area, and quite a bunch, all franchises, all makes, whether it's when you service your car or buy your car or sell it, you just drive through this machine and it tells you a whole lot more than needing to trust someone to explain what's going on with that vehicle. You could just see it. So it's been a great journey, and we are very privileged to have choosing New Jersey as our home, as our U.S. headquarters, our global headquarters, alongside Israel for R&D. So it's been a great journey. Thank you.
And we're happy to have you, and it's the coolest thing to see if you ever get a chance. Patty Arnold from the New Jersey Israel Commission and I were there together a few years ago. And also I want to introduce Josh Berliner, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Israel Commission, if any questions to him. So now to Evan. So Evan, and thanks for being in New Jersey. We're very happy
we
about
love
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the NJEDA plays a critical role in supporting businesses of all sizes across New Jersey. What resources and opportunities are here for entrepreneurs, small business, looking to start, grow, or expand?
Almost as many as you could think of. I mean, everything from businesses like yours. We are extremely active, especially in comparison to similar state entities in the kind of venture capital startup space. We have something called the Innovation Evergreen Program, where we're able to monetize tax credits, generate cash, and then co-invest at this point with over 30 different venture capital firms that are international, We work with some Israeli companies and some Israeli venture firms as well in that, as well as those in Silicon Valley, New York, other parts of Europe, et cetera. On the other end of the spectrum, we work with micro businesses, small businesses, restaurants, like right here in Trenton. We did a lot of that during COVID, both helping businesses make it through the worst of the pandemic by helping push through different grants and loans and loan guarantees, and then carried that forward with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of small business assistance, whether they wanted to expand and needed some help with their lease, whether they wanted new equipment and needed some help with the purchase. We've had probably our longest single product that we've had as an authority going back 50 years has been loan products. So different loans that either directly lend into a business or that facilitate bank lending. When a bank gets a little nervous or they're not sure they're willing to take the jump, which is extremely important for smaller businesses who might not have the same credit history, or they want the entrepreneur to put a personal guarantee up and they're not ready for that. The EDA, again, has a long, multi-decade history of stepping in there. We also have a really cool service that allows for e-commerce support for businesses that might have a very successful brick and mortar operation, but want to be more involved online and sell their products around New Jersey, around the world. That's something else that we have on offer, and it's helped hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses. One of the conversations that I was just having as well is through our real estate incentives. We are able to create a lot of retail in the buildings that we subsidize and build in places like Newark and Camden and Trenton, Woodbridge, all over. We've been able to also incentivize great community retail in those buildings as well. I know Assemblyman Schnall was meant to join us, but one thing he and I have spoken about, this is kind of like an interesting point of growth for the EDA. And I think I've seen this as well with other small businesses. So on his point, we can have very strict rules about what is permissible, what's not permissible. Or something we often do is like, do you qualify for our products? We want to help businesses that need it most. We don't want to necessarily give money to those who don't need our money, so we have it for someone who truly does. But he was sharing with me that businesses in his district that were looking for that lease assistance program I was telling you about, we typically rely on a data platform that some of you might be familiar with, if you're real estate nerds, is CoStar, ability to look at rents in different markets. Given all the really unique dynamics in his district, which contains Lakewood, it doesn't feed into CoStar data accurately a lot of the time. And so we can't, our program gears don't work because we use this particular software and they have a particular situation on the ground. The kind of companion piece to that is that very happy you're here, but you have a business to run. You don't want to be going through a zillion different pieces of paperwork to get some kind of EDA product. I'm very sensitive to that. Every entrepreneur I met, they're busy people. They don't have much free time. And so one thing that I want to grow on is just to make sure that our products really do feel accessible. That I came from a call earlier just before this panel where we were talking to a really big business that had a lobbyist and a consultant and I think 2 different law firms on there. Hobbyist doesn't have that at their disposal, nor do many, certainly startup businesses, especially when they're just beginning. So my hope is that our products will be more accessible and available to folks, whether they have those kind of unique market considerations like I was describing in Lakewood, or it's just they have other stuff to do, and they need our process to work more smoothly.
Thanks. They are an unbelievable resource here, from the smallest to the largest. He has an A+ team here, and I'm sure he'll be happy. I don't want to point fingers at your team to connect.
But there are many here.
There's many
hidden among you
here, mixed in, keeping their heads
So say
down.
nice things, because they might be listening. Yeah.
Thanks. So Mark, thank you for being here in between the lunch and the other rush. So Hobbies has been in Newark, as I said, for generations. How has the business evolved over the years while remaining connected to its roots and the community it's in?
Well, it's changed an awful lot. As you alluded to, we are over 100 years old. Our family's there over 60. My mother was a Weequahic High School graduate. We have deep roots in Newark. My grandparents had Marconi's restaurant. My grandfather was off the boat from Pastici. They had Marconi's restaurant 5 doors up at 46 Branford Place during the Depression. And then they moved to Park Place. So we've seen all kinds of things in Newark. We've always had a broad customer base, and we've always been deeply rooted in the local community in Newark. But the business customer has always been our bread and butter customer. Back in the heyday, in the 50s, 60s, early 70s, that bread and butter customer was the white male in the corporation or legal office and the Jewish mom and popper, who, taken collectively, were big customers at Hobbies. That has changed drastically since that time. Corporations and law firms are now heavily populated by women and folks who have non-European roots. You can probably count the number of Jewish mom and pops on one hand now. While Newark has experienced a resurgence since the opening of NJPAC and the Prudential Center, many law firms have moved out of the city or simply closed. And also, crucially, COVID has had a devastating effect on downtown Newark, with business closures and too many people continuing to work from home, especially Mondays and Fridays. So we're sort of effectively having a 3-day work week. How have we tried to deal with that? How have we evolved? Well, first of all, our menu has changed very much. Back in the day, the menu was essentially how many different ways can you make corned beef and brisket and pastrami. A salad was a bed of lettuce with lettuce, tomato, potato salad, coleslaw, and 2 scoops of tuna. It wasn't a particularly varied menu. It was relatively easy to produce. We've expanded our menu drastically now to accommodate the changing tastes. If a table of 6 comes in from Prudential, one's going to be vegan, one's going to be vegetarian, one will be gluten-free, one will be on a diet, one's off carbs, and yeah, someone's going to have a pastrami on rye. And I can accommodate every single one of them. We've got a full-page gluten-free menu. We've got lots of options for vegans and vegetarians. We've got salads, pan-seared salmon, and other offerings for those on diets. Our number 30 sandwich, our California sandwich, is one of the most popular things on the menu. Grilled chicken, fresh mozzarella, arugula, tomato, roasted peppers. Jewish delicatessen? No. But you have to serve your customer. You can't force feed them things you want to feed. Kishka, forget it. But while our soul remains Jewish delicatessen, we certainly serve more pastrami than anything else. It ain't my father's delicatessen anymore. The upside is we cater to people with a plethora of dietary requirements, but the downside is it means a larger, more varied inventory and more staff to produce this kind of menu. Secondly, while delivery has always been a big part of our business, we now do a substantial business with the likes of Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub, trying to reach former customers who have moved out to the suburbs or outside the downtown area. The drawback with those, of course, is that it depersonalizes both us and the customer. We're a very personal business. It's very strange for us not to have a relationship with a customer, and a lot of young people are using these apps. I don't know who I'm serving. So it's strange. Third, we do our best to engage with our customers on social media. Again, trying to meet them where they are. They're not necessarily downtown. They're outside of downtown. They're in the suburbs. We try to be entertaining. We try to make them laugh. We try to get them to engage. We try to stay in front of them and stay on their minds, even though they're no longer located in Newark. But some changes are impossible from which to evolve. The stores that replace the Jewish mom and pops are simply not customers, most likely due to cultural preferences as well as price point. Few law firms have successfully moved into Newark to replace the medium and large law firms which left or closed. Some have moved in, not successfully. It'll be years, if ever, that downtown Newark fully recovers from COVID. I don't know what that story is going to be. And then we also just recently heard that PSE&G and its thousands of employees are going to be moving out of Newark. They were at one time one of our biggest customers, and they're just going to disappear.
Where are they going?
Out of Newark. But even with these changes, we remain rooted in who we are and who we've been. A classic Jewish delicatessen, pastrami and matzo ball soup, still headline the menu, And just as we go out for Chinese food on Christmas, we enjoy introducing our international community of Newark workers and citizens to the pleasures of Jewish cuisine. I always smile to myself when I see Esteban enjoying a matzo ball soup, Mrs. Choi digging into a pastrami sandwich, and Abdul chow down on a falafel platter. And the fact that we've been named the top delicatessen in New Jersey and one of the best in the nation, which is nice, but all that matters to me is that you come in and enjoy your meal. Well, thanks to social media, we've been able to draw in a host of new people, both local and those passing through on their way up and down the coast or connecting on flights to Newark Airport. It's incredible the people you meet in my dining room. Yeah, at the end of the day, people are looking for good food, be it Asian, Mediterranean, Italian, or Jewish delicatessen. Maintaining our quality and service over the years while staying true to our roots, adding new items to our menu, and finding ways to connect and to serve customers outside our local downtown area have all played an important role in our survival. And that's what it is, survival, because it is tough out there for small businesses. It is really tough.
Well, thanks, Mark. Thanks for sharing your story. So, Senator Greenstein, from a policy-making perspective, what can government do to help create an environment where small businesses, entrepreneurs, and local communities can thrive? Help us with that one.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I have been made so hungry by listening to this about hobbies. As legislators, we should be looking to create policy that empowers small businesses and ensures they have the resources to thrive. Very importantly, I very much support Governor Sherrill's affordability agenda, and many of the bills we have sort of play into that. Cutting the costs of energy. I have many bills on that, and very important. And also red tape. Businesses have been complaining for years about red tape, and it's something that we really do need to do something about. And I think this governor, for the first time in many, many years, really wants to do something about it to make life easier for businesses. So all of that will certainly allow us, businesses, to proceed well. But, you know, when you have changes like the kind that Mr. Brummer, is that Brummer, described, cultural changes, sometimes businesses change, and his business would be, you know, a good example of that. And then others grow up, and we get new businesses later. So I think right now we still have plenty of businesses, and we have to make sure that life is as easy for them as possible. And we need to focus on policies that allow small businesses to focus on what is important, providing quality goods and services while also promoting economic opportunity in their communities. To truly empower small businesses that support our communities, it's important that all businesses play by the same set of rules. And that's why we focus on legislation. I happen to focus on a lot of legislation that deals with or improves environmental and labor standards. This ensures small businesses who are trying to do right by our communities are not put at a disadvantage, and that all businesses need to follow these rules in order to be fair to everybody. So those are just a couple of the things that we can do to make things fair.
Great, thanks, Senator. We're going to take another question to everyone, and then people will be here afterwards where you can go up to them separately. So we're going to move on. So since you work in technology and entrepreneurship, what do you think New Jersey, what opportunities are there for New Jersey to continue attracting and supporting innovative companies like yours?
So I think we moved here because half of Israel lives in Tenafly, so somehow we ended up there. That was the reason. But I think there's a nice balance in New Jersey. On one hand, it's very close to New York City and the talent there. On the other hand, there's things that are more attractive in terms of real estate and opportunities. And it's much better to live here as well, in my humble opinion. So I think that's how we ended up here. But what we found is a few things that give this area, this state, an advantage. So first of all, there's good talent here in terms of tech. There's this young talent. I mean, originally we have over 150 people in the States, 150 in Israel, so over 300 people in the company, and we were moving away from doing a lot of remote roles to actually hiring them locally here in New Jersey. Our office in Teaneck is now close to 80 or 90 people, and the rest are remote. And we're finding some phenomenal talent in AI-related, product-related, sales-related, marketing-related roles and others. And I think that is good and something to continue nurturing. And that connects me to a couple of other things that maybe we could work on, which is one, is better transportation to the city and Brooklyn and those areas, because that opens up more opportunities and more people to come into New Jersey, and we feel it. I think another thing that we've been doing actually, and with help by the likes of Josh over here and Andrew and others that have helped us, but really working with different universities, especially in our field, which is more new tech and AI and those kind of things. Obviously, there's some great universities in New Jersey which are very advanced in what they do, and for us representing a company that's doing really advanced things in AI, it's a good match. So I think more things and initiatives around that. Another thing which is worth thinking, and I know there's new initiatives in Jersey City with SOSA and bringing businesses together, but that connection to local businesses, I mean, mind you that I got hungry from the conversation earlier, or the story, but I would love to get catering from your business, right? But I think that sometimes we don't have access to other businesses that we could work with. Jewish, not Jewish, it doesn't matter, right? But I think anything local that could help us, whether it's a print house or whatever it is, I would prefer doing it here. And I think that could be more accessible. And finally, and that, it's a very unique case, but if we do need help with kind of lobby-related and government relations, I think that's something that would be appreciated as well. So these are points that I would advise to look at. But overall, we're happy. We're growing. The facility, having an office in Teaneck has been great for us, and we appreciate the help from the different authorities for sure.
Great. Thanks so much. So Evan, back to you. How does the EDA here and everywhere, because you're all over the place, work with the community and business leaders to ensure economic opportunity reaches across the state, not just the Newark, Camdens? How do we do that?
It changed. I mean, like the theme of this panel seems to be change. I mean, we do a lot of that, like things like this, going out in the community, giving talks. I was at Rowan and Glassboro, I believe, yesterday. It all blends together. And then, in Jersey City before that. I'm all over personally, and a lot of my staff is all over as well, trying to communicate and then go both ways to learn more about what the needs are. But increasingly, we've deployed chatbots on our website. We've deployed different tools where you can kind of go through a list to figure out how your business or your project might benefit from an EDA product. We've worked with Office of Innovation and Business Action Center on things like that, because so much is now online. So much is online. I still personally value so much, like getting to hear things one-on-one and meeting the business owners and so forth. But a lot of this does, you need to be able to do it on your phone, and even if it works on a laptop and it doesn't work on this, that's also not going to cut it in a lot of cases. So one other thing, and we're really trying to understand better, and we're doing this even internally, how we can aggregate information and understand it through different survey tools. Again, as many people have talked about already, using AI to help interpret really large-scale data sets for us in a way that we can make more actionable decisions off of. So I think on our best day, we're really a hybrid, being out there all over in all 21 counties and frankly, around the world, and then also have a growing and strong virtual presence. Because again, it's like we need to move very quickly, and just again, this is not answering your question, but it just really sticks with me. COVID is over for so many people, but to Mark's point, the impacts are there. The impacts are still there, and we need to develop tools to figure that out. And one thing that really bugs me about when I was in Newark, and this is very true of Camden as well, and certainly the city we're in right now, there are a lot of new residences in Newark. Mm-hmm. But I'll ask you, I don't think that has come close to replacing the people you had from the corporate world. No. And I get upset. I'm not allowed to think like this anymore because I love all New Jersey. But people who are in Newark and then go, take the train, or they drive somewhere, to a different town or New York City or something, instead of going right, down their building, down the block to go to hobbies. And so part of the story, I think, is educating people about what they have. And the one thing about hobbies and businesses like hobbies is you go there once, you're going again. And having people have at least that first experience that I think we should do our best to help drive them, for that first visit, something I feel really important about, because I really believe that we have enough foot traffic, we have enough people, even with the Monday to Friday thing, because we have so many more downtown residents, but it just needs a little push in education to introduce them to businesses like yours.
Thank you. And Mark, to follow up on that, being a family-owned business, we know how important family-owned businesses are, the backbone of New Jersey's economy. What lessons have you learned about community engagement and state support that translate to your long-term success?
Okay, well, indeed, we were honored to be included in business writer Robert Spector's book, The Mom and Pop Store, True Stories from the Heart of America. But I got to tell you, family businesses are in trouble. They really are. It's getting harder and harder for all of us. The cost of everything, goods, services, insurance, payroll, energy, it's going up exponentially. How much are people willing to pay for a sandwich? And the effect of COVID continues its viral march. As I said before, before COVID, I had a staff of 28. I had a driver. They were able to go places. Now, post-COVID, I'm a staff of 14.
Wow.
That's half the size. And we're no longer able to open for Devils pregame, evening pregames. There are only like 5 Saturday matinee games. We're open for those games, and we're packed. We've got lines out the door, but I can't be open for the night games anymore. I just don't have the staff because I don't need them lunchtime. And it doesn't pay to have a staff just, for the 40 dates. That all said, supporting the community is still a vital part of business for so many reasons. Every August, we celebrate National Delicatessen Month, along with delicatessens across America, where we put on special menus and support local charities. And while many of the delicatessens support local Jewish charities, we choose to support Newark youth through the New Jersey Performing Arts Center's Arts Education Program, as well as the Devil's Youth Foundation. Both organizations do exemplary work with youth in Newark and the surrounding communities. And we've also supported the Newark Museum, the Newark Public Library, St. Benedict's, Volunteer Lawyers for Justice. We feel this is the best way to support and enrich our community, our local community, and help build a base in the future of our city. I'll also mention quickly, we ran an operation called Operation Salami Drop, which raised enough money from across America for us to send over 30 tons of salami to our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan from 2005 to 2008. Of course, Katz's in Manhattan had send a salami to your boy in the Army. Well, every delicatessen did it. And we did in honor of our Polish immigrant father, Sam, who got an all-expenses-paid trip back to Europe to land on Omaha Beach on D-Day. And he would get a salami from his friends back home in Newark, and his unit eventually found out what the box looked like that the salami came in. They would surround him. When they saw that box in his hands, they'd surround him, sit down on the helmets, and insist he take out his bayonet and cut out a hunk of salami for everybody. So this was our way of honoring our father, but we got 30 tons of salamis out to the troops. And that was with support from people certainly within the community and from people all across America. It was an amazing thing to be a part of. And our first shipment, the first 2 tons, went to a unit which was led by a Newark police officer who used to walk our beat.
Wow.
And our community knows that we support them in addition to their supporting us. It's crucial for a high-profile business on the street in downtown Newark, especially one run by a white Jewish family. A few years ago, our aunt brought to public light a story that until that time had been kept a family secret. Shortly after Dad bought Hobbies in 1962, He noticed that the waitresses would put a particular mark on their sandwich orders when they took care of a black customer. He asked about that and was told that this way the countermen would know that they could use the scraps of the meat to make that particular sandwich. Dad put an end to that practice immediately, saying in no uncertain terms that there was no way anyone in his business was going to treat his customers the way that he and his family were treated in Poland. Word got out on the street that Hobbies was a place to go and support, and when the disturbances of 1967 happened, the word went out that Hobbies wasn't to be touched.
That's great.
Perhaps the most important community outreach we do, though, is one-on-one, the schmooze in the dining room. I make sure to visit every table in the dining room all day to make sure our customers are not only enjoying their meal, but that they also feel welcome and appreciated, which they are, and it works. The support we received from our local community when we were closed during COVID really, honestly, put tears in our eyes. When we finally reopened, my attorney wife was helping on the cash one day, God bless her, when a customer came in to order a sandwich to go. When Suzanne asked him if he'd like a side with that, he replied that he could barely afford the sandwich. But he wanted to support us because we meant so much to the community. Supporting the community is simply who we are and has had a direct cause and effect on our longevity in downtown Newark. And all that said, I can tell you, unfortunately, that October 7th and its aftermath has not helped. We've had longtime customers not set foot in the door since then. Now, as to how state support translated to our long-term success, we've never really sought out funding or other types of aid or counsel. You gave me a couple ideas, though. But I'll say this. Any help that's given to the city or the businesses in the city helps Hobbies by propping up a city that can still use some propping. The urban enterprise zone. Much needed tax relief in a zone where a business cannot maximize its ability to do business. I'm not open nights. I'm not open Sundays, breakfast in downtown. The business just isn't there. So these breaks really do help. Events held in town can help tremendously. We had the honor of being one of the caterers for Governor Christie's first inauguration held at the Prudential Center. And as mentioned, after Governor Sherrill's inauguration at NJPAC, our dining room was packed. Packed. It's not an ongoing thing, but every little bit helps, and that was fantastic. Movie credits. An economic windfall, a great shot in the arm. Movies shot downtown, TV shows, especially those with larger budgets, have a large staff who love to eat pastrami. State support for the building of NJPAC, the building of which was truly the beginning of the rebirth of downtown Newark. And after NJPAC opened, businesses started moving into downtown. That hadn't happened in years. Panasonic, Audible, the Devils, just to name a few. But the difference was amazing. The Prudential Center. If NJPAC started the rebirth, the Prudential Center put it on steroids. And now there's a tax break to update the Prudential Center. You know, even though we're no longer doing evening pre-games, we still do the pre-games on Saturdays, still do business with the team, and the team is not a good, they are a great neighbor both for us and for downtown. So, in short, state support for Newark remains crucial for the survival, literally the survival of businesses like ours. I mean, where would we be without NJPAC? Where would we be without the Prudential Center? I don't know. Where would we be without all these things I mentioned? I shudder to think.
Well, thanks, Mark, for that deeply personal.
I
Go
have
ahead.
a question.
Sure.
To what extent do you think any of the things, and this has been a great, very great exposition of what's going on there. To what extent do you think it has anything to do with being a Jewish restaurant, because that's kind of the topic of the day, and to what extent might there be, and I don't know, if there are other restaurants that have been there almost as long as you have? Are there Chinese restaurants or other nationalities? And to what extent is their experience similar to yours?
Well, so when you're talking downtown Newark, I can't think of a restaurant that's been there as long as we have.
Or even close?
Certainly,
Even
or
close.
even close.
PM Ward's
Yeah, Ward
not a
Coffee.
restaurant,
You know, it's not a restaurant; it's a coffee shop. Certainly down Neck, you know, the Portuguese/Spanish restaurants. They've been there a long time. I know the guy at Forno's; they do a great job. But down Neck and downtown are really two different cities. The only way we're surviving, because right now, I'm in the middle of everything but next to absolutely nothing. We're a destination. People aren't walking past and saying, oh, let me grab a cup of coffee, let me grab a sandwich. You have to come to Hobbies. We've been there a long time. The community knows us. We've got a good social media presence. We've got great reviews. Someone came in from the airport. They said they looked online for the best restaurant to go to. We were listed number one of all of them. So that's how we survive. How much of it is the fact that we're a Jewish restaurant? You know, as I alluded to earlier, the Jewish mom and pops, they filled the dining room. We delivered to a bunch of them. Our clientele now is mostly not Jewish. And, you know, who do we support? We support Devil's Youth Organization. We support NJPAC's arts education. Because this is what's important for our survival now. You know, we've changed. You have to be flexible. So we're doing the best we can.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Linda, last question, Senator. Jewish Americans have made significant contributions to New Jersey's civic, economic, and cultural life. Why is it so important for us today and every day to recognize that?
Well, I agree with you. I think that the Jewish community has made a big difference in so many places, and Newark obviously is one, and you know, it's just extremely important. I think that this is a particularly important time because of all the things that are going on. I mean, the world is becoming, it's always a difficult world for Jews. I don't know how many of you in here are Jewish or know what I'm talking about, but it's always difficult for Jews, always has been. I think it's more difficult now since October 7th in so many different ways. We're seeing political changes. We're seeing all kinds of things going on that the Jews always have to be very cognizant. And I just think that anything we can do to relate to that and to be supportive. Many people over the years, until recently, probably would have said, I don't want to be identified as Jewish, and I don't need my restaurant or my store to be identified that way. But I actually think people should be identified that way. I think it's important for people in the larger community to recognize that Jewish people are doing things that are very important to their communities. And with something like Hobbies, people know it's a Jewish deli, but there are other businesses where people may not. And I think it's a pretty good idea to let people know. That's a way of, I'll call it positively fighting back. You're not fighting, you're not being negative, but you're letting people know that these things are very important, not just to them, but to the Jewish community. I always think it's important to be very open about that. So, and of course, my name makes it impossible not to be, but that's okay. You know, so, you know, that's how I feel. I think it's just important to be open about being Jewish.
And you always have been. I know
I
I've seen
always
it.
have
You've
been.
never hid, right? Exactly. So thank you, everyone. So looking ahead for just to sum up as we end, what opportunities do you see for strengthening connections between business leaders, community orgs, and government to support economic growth here in New Jersey? You can all chime in at the same time. Anybody have any ideas? Evan, you want to kick it off? Since we're at your house.
Yeah, I keep saying it. It's just like, well, I don't know. I'll say one thing, which is just I really want. We do talk so much about incentives, tax incentives that we offer, et cetera. But just to give people the opportunity to visit a Hobbies, or so many, you know, and not just Jewish businesses, but all different businesses. Like, I have a Camden office as well. The opportunity, I feel so lucky to be able to go into so many cities and experience, Donkey's Place, or, there's so many different treasures we have around New Jersey that I wish we could incentivize more of people getting out and really recognizing it and, not using, I hate to see Panera catering. No shade on Panera, but just like you were saying, the ability to know easily.
I always liked Evan. Always liked him.
But yeah, it's just like taking the friction away, because it's easy to go to a national chain or something. That's what I hope we can really work on, because again, I really believe this. People, almost 100% of them, want to support their local community, but just need kind of the extra push or to know how, and then once we've done that, the work takes care of itself.
And I know I hyperventilate when I see where you are. I don't know how you're doing it. Glassboro, Galloway, statewide. He's really
That's right,
been.
Galloway was the other one.
That was the other one. He's really been everywhere.
Yeah, I'll just say from our type of industry, one thing I found a bit surprising when we got here is there's not a whole lot of co-working spaces, right? I mean, the WeWork concept is something that is less in suburbia, more in big cities, right? But I think in tech and also other businesses, if we had more communal co-working spaces where, you can have a membership, you get to know other folks around you, you can, it's mainly tech from our kind of DNA, but there's others as well, there's a ton of examples, and I think maybe it's more popular in Europe and also in bigger cities here, but really, I was actually surprised by the lack of co-working spaces, and I think if like the SOSA initiative and others, but even in suburbia, I mean, there's definitely in a place like Tenafly, which is a tech hub, or a lot of other cities, Princeton, or Newark, wherever, it could be tied into some community-related charities and other things. There's definitely a space for these kind of things, whether it's an established chain like a WeWork, or doing initiatives of our own, and I think that brings people together. So.
Good ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in here? Anything
Well,
else?
I guess I would just say, as a legislator, I actually spend a lot of my time out in the community, meeting people. I work with local businesses, and all of that gives me ideas for what I want to do legislatively. So that's one way, my little part of trying to bring all of these parts together. And I think a lot of legislators do that too. They're very much out in the community. So that's a way of bringing everything together.
Thank you. Mark, anything to add?
Yeah, well, someone, I don't remember who alluded to it before, but small businesses don't have a lot of time to even think about, what can we do? Where can we reach out? We don't always know where to reach out, and what sometimes what you read about, loans, or what, we don't necessarily need a loan. We could use a little help with some other things. So the e-commerce thing that you mentioned is of interest, but it would be helpful if the state reached out specifically to small businesses to kind of get our attention
Right.
that, there are resources available. And it sounds like
Good idea.
Evan's
Yeah.
working on that.
He's knocking
So
off
that's
every
good.
small business one by one around the state. I think.
Yeah, there are a lot of small businesses,
Yeah.
but there are ways to do it. So I'm
Thank you.
encouraged.
Thank you.
That's the thing. Just the senator asked me, how are we doing that? And like I said, we try online, we try in person. But I would love if you have ideas. Where are small businesses that we can reach en masse? Because it's just physically impossible. Our staff is not
course.
huge to be able to go. But if there are places where a lot of your peers will be, tell us to be there, and we'll go. I think being able to talk, to larger groups, but still in person, that's the
Community
best
business
thing we can
meetings
do.
or whatever.
We've had them in the past. I think we'll be starting them again. So
Great. Well, it's a great audience. I see a lot of people I know, some I don't. So panel's going to be here for a little bit, so feel free to network, and Evan can point out his staff.
At this
And-
point, you can raise your hands.
Yeah,
Mystery's
sit-
over.
yeah. EDA,
Okay.
raise your, oh my goodness gracious. Okay, lots of people here, and thank you all. And there's some food here. It's not hobbies, but we will make do.
So,
thank you.
so, yes, it was very nice to be asked to do it, but we're not kosher, so we couldn't cater for this. But I did recommend Deli King, and the way we look at it is, we're not competitors with anyone. We're all delicatessens are on the same team. So I encourage you to eat and enjoy, and when in Clark, go to Deli King. When in Newark, and you're not kosher, please come visit us at Hobbies.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
We need to-